So here's a little bit of a. I bought it built. I'm building a boot rack here in this video. So my microphone that I'm currently using didn't work at the time. I didn't realize it, so everything was muted. So I have to do a voiceover on all of this. So I measured out my bifold closet in my front entrance, and I had a certain space that I needed. So I have about 4 feet. Exactly. So I made the boot rack a little bit shorter, so I cut everything down to about 42 inches plus the top lip, which gives me about 46 inches. Right now, currently, I'm going to be cutting this down uh, for the shelves along. So here you'll see me cut down, and I'm cutting these down to 40.5 inches. It's supposed to accumulate to the 3/4 inch that we have on both ends to get it to that uh, 42 inches. Right now, currently, it is exactly 42 inches wide with the um, uh, uh, with the 3/4 inch on each side, which is accumulated to inch and a half. And that's what I'm going to cut exactly three pieces at, is at 42 inches or 40.5 inches. So a lot of the equipment, as I'm going over these cuts here, a lot of this equipment is all Mastercraft. Mastercraft is a brand that we use here in Canada often, and it's a brand that it's a good brand. Nothing wrong with it, but it's a brand that we use quite on the regularly. It's from a store or a company called Canadian Tire. I like using a lot of this equipment. It's cheap, it's affordable. A lot of my stuff, anyway, was bought from used online, just from different various builders that just kind of just handed it off, and I really, really enjoy a lot of this building stuff. So right here, you can see that I have it in my own personal garage, and I'm just kind of working with what I have. Normally, we have our car parked in here, but at this point, I like to take it out, pull all my equipment on the side, and then pretty much I just build. And then I get a lot of this material from work. It's just pretty much it just gets scrapped, and it's quite valuable, a lot of it. But I guess because they have a lot of shipping charges or whatever, it's cheaper for us just to throw it out. And so rather than throw it out, I take it home, and it gives me the ability to create and redo furniture. I have a lot of different types of stuff that I built in my house already from just scrap material that I get from work. A lot of this is particle board. I pretty much I it's just it's got like a maple laminate on top of it, and then it's just particle in between. So oftentimes I'll have to just wrap that particle so that we can make that particle, the ugly part, disappear, and nobody wants to see that. I have a heater that I keep constantly running in my garage just to keep it warm. So we have also the side pieces. They're going to be about 16 inches tall. I have those cut down specifically just for the sides so that I can make it up. And you can see I cut one piece at the top. That's the top plate. That is going to be covering the whole thing on the very top. Like it's so the other ones are 42. This one's 46 inches wide. The top piece. It's like a 2 inch lip on each side. Exactly 2 inches. So here, because it's a bit of a cheaper table saw, I have to adjust and make the measurements on the table with my saw, with the with my tape measure, measuring from the blade to the guard, or the side rail where you run your piece along. You have to measure out on both sides of the blade to make sure that everything is accurate. Um, it's not very accurate on the measurement along the front of it, so I have to use this tape measure to actually measure it along. Okay, so now here is the next step is we nail them together. So you'll notice that when I'm cutting here, I'm doing a bit of a flip and then I cut the remainder because obviously my miter saw can't actually extend that far. So I have to make that cut. So here are my side pieces, and I'm going to first I'm going to glue them together. So when you're applying glue, you want to apply to the edge, and because it's a particle board, there's going to be a lot of ex- it's going to be an uneven look on the edge. So you really have to fill up that with glue and rub it along with your finger. It allows you to get that even spread, and also for later on, you don't have that extra glue uh, popping out by the seams, something that you have to clean up later on. So I'll just fill it up, make one bead all the way across, and that'll allow you to have that even gluing. So yeah, pretty much you just spread it along just like that with your finger. Okay, so next step here is we're gonna nail these together. So I have what we call a pin nailer, or just a small little nailer. It uses these really small nails, and we're just going to nail these edges together. These are 1.5 inch nails, which is plenty for the application. Um, it's actually worked out because my compressor is quite loud, and Voss. So next, I'm going to be marking out my shelving here. For the base, it's just going to obviously just go flush with the bottom. But the next one up, I took one of our biggest boots, which ends up being just under 10 inches tall. Just winter boots that my kids use. So I'll just mark that out as the boot level for about the boot rack, and then I will separate the top two because this is going to be a three tier. The base for the boots, the next one's for shoes. So that's about 5 inches, which gives me plenty of room to put my shoes into. And then I'll separate the very top one for flat shoes. So just flip flops and very flat shoes. So I will use my big old trusty square. A square I picked up just locally. It's also a Mastercraft, and it is essentially just a. So here you can kind of see that I'm just kind of nailing it by eyesight. You can actually draw a line on the other side to make sure that your nails end up on the center, but I'm just kind of using like a tunnel vision thing where I just look along there and it kind of sets it exactly where I just center the tip of the nailer and allows me to get them accurately without having the nail pop out on the other side and miss the. So here, a little bit of a technique that a lot of us finish framers or whatever you would call for in trade, after nailing it once on each side, I'm going to just one nail for the top, so the bottom will be loose, so it's right on the mark that I want it to be. And then I'm going to take my square and I'm going to put it along the top. As you can see right there, I'm holding it, and then I run the bottom of it, and it automatically just squares it right up. So you just kind of lean the material right up to the square, and that keeps it square. So that way you can have that nice square edge and everything looks level and sharp. Now I have that square because of the tightness of the other shelves that have been nailed on. Um, that'll hold it nice and square, and I just line it up by eye. Of course, if you, like I said before, if you can't do it yourself, then you just line up with a pencil mark. Okay, so next step here is we're going to put the top guy on. I have it all nailed solid. I'm going to place it on top, and then we're just going to I'm going to even out this back part. So we like the lip on the front. It's a nice little extra feature. And I'm just going to flush it up to the back, and then we're going to um, center it for the 2 inches on each side, so overhanging. So it's exactly 2 inches. So next here, I'm just going to continuing to make sure it's centered. And then as we get further along, I'm going to nail it on the top. Now, you would have these little pinhole exposures on top, but that's okay because this is a rustic look, and a little bit of extra holes, which will be covered with putty. The little putty marks will be visible. They will be seen. Pardon me, little tongue twister. But here, I'll just nail it on top, and I'll just use tunnel vision to uh, make sure that it lines up perfectly so the nails aren't exposed and in anywhere thereafter. Okay, so next we have the bottom base. It's the base that's going to go on the bottom because we don't want to just put this thing flat on the floor. It kind of looks really just it doesn't look very nice, and we just want to kind of create these little uh, I guess I would just call it a base. It's a 3-inch base, so I'm going to cut down two 3-inch bases, and I'm just going to make them shorter so it'll kind of make sure that this is all covered under afterwards. So because the main part is 42 inches wide, we're just gonna I'm just gonna cut down these to 3 inches, and then we're going to cut down to about 38 inches is what I cut these down to. So that's just a base. It's very simple, nothing complex, and I make it out of the same material as I did the main shelves. That way, when we stain it later on, it matches. When you kind of see it, it'll look like it matches. And that's one big thing is, even though we are making this rustic, we want to make this look good. And it is going to be sitting in my closet, so that way we can have a nice looking setup. So next I have my little side pieces. So base is 2 longs, and then I'm going to make 4 short pieces, also 3 inches obviously. So we have a full 3-inch base all the way around. And the shelf unit is 15 and a half inches in depth on the inside. So it's 15 and a half inches. So I'm going to make these 12 inches. This allows a little bit of a bottom kick plate, kind of like you would do with kitchen cabinets. You have a bit of a kick plate. You don't always have it flush. You have a bit of a kick plate so that you can walk up right close. I do that just for design. You can do it flush, but I prefer just having it a little bit in so it looks nice. Um, so yeah, I cut these down to 12 inches. And I did 4, so we have more stabilization. And I'll just nail them on the ends and have the long ones uh, be the ones visual, and the side ones are going to be hidden. So you won't, when you look at it directly, you won't see the joint in between, because you're looking at top and it's relatively just really covered up. You can kind of One thing you kind of see there, I'm using this stretchy hose. I really hate this hose. It's very annoying. I do have another better hose, but these hoses will typically come with compressors, really cheap ones anyway, out here. Um, I don't recommend using them on a regular basis. Just, yeah. And also, it is my house, so I'm also doing a lot of other things here. But this stretchy hose is a pain in the ass. Um, the Bostitch nailer that I'm using right there, it's a Bostitch. And I got that one actually free. Someone actually had a box of stuff that they gave away, and it was kind of sitting at the bottom. I saw it in the picture before I went to pick it up. They said that it needed to be fixed. Literally, I took it home, and there was a jammed nail inside. So I was able to get that little pin nailer for free with a jammed nail, and they thought it was broken, but it was just a jammed nail. All right, so we flip this thing upside down and we pull we make it so that Okay, so now I have this 1/4 inch panel. It isn't the same type. That is oak 1/4 inch panel, so I wasn't able to get my hands on oak or maple 1/4 inch panel to match it. But when I stain it, it will automatically just cover it up. It's a little bit more detailed in grain, which is actually kind of nice. I picked this up from work. It was also being thrown out, so I was able to get it for free as well. Um, so with 1/4 inch panel, I just Okay, so here we're gonna change up the nails. The nails that were in there were 1.5 inches, and we don't need 1.5 inch nails because these nails have a bit of like a flatted point. We want to reduce the size, so I went ahead and put in 1 inch nails, um, and pretty much you're nailing through 1/4 inch, and then you're going through into the panel, into the particle panel, which goes in 3/4 inch, and also countersinks as well. So you're getting a good decent amount of meat, and then we glue that 1/4 inch panel to the back, making sure it's pretty solid. We're just gonna nail every 2 to 3 inches to make sure that we're getting that strength and stability, and everything is solid afterwards, and it's lasting long. This is something that you won't find at IKEA or any other store, something that won't fall apart. So we make sure that this thing is going to last for 100 years, hopefully. Probably not with because it's particle board. It's not it won't last maybe as long, but unless if I do my due diligence and constantly keep it clean and putting in more clear spray or a clear primer just to keep it protected. Okay, so because like I said, this is all scrap, I had to find whatever I could find. So I found this stuff that we call E2E. It's a maple solid piece. Um, and I'm going to wrap the whole top with this maple piece. We're gonna have to cut 45 miters at the end. So what I'll do is I will make sure that it's the right length, making sure that it has enough, and then I'm gonna cut a 45-degree miter on your table saw. So here we go. Just gonna mark it, make sure that I'm marking it the right way. It's a little good reminder when you're cutting this material, bring a pencil with so that you can mark it right away. I've made mistakes before where I cut the miter the wrong way and ends up wasting an entire piece. So this miter here, so we'll just make sure that the the shorter part of the 45 miter lines up with the very corner, and then once I've lined that up, then I'm gonna line up the other side. As you can see, it can be a little bit challenging doing this alone, but it does So when we're nailing these on, I'm using again the 1 inch because we don't need more than 1 inch for going inside. You can see that I just nailed right into the miter corner there, because it's a bit of a miter and it doesn't sit perfectly. I will put a nail in there, and because it's a 1 inch, it doesn't split, and we're able to get in there nicely without breaking anything away. So the only times you really need to do that is when the miter isn't sitting in perfect on itself. Also, when you're gluing these ends on, these edges, just run your finger along that bead so that you're not having glue come up through afterwards. It's extra cleanup. Maybe angling it towards the bottom of the piece so that when you're pressing it on, it pushes down instead of up, so that you don't see it at the very top. A lot of this stuff is very hidden, so you can easily hide this. And again, just use the 1 inch, and also remember to glue your miters as well. Put glue on them, not just this edges, not just the very top edge, but also the miters as well. So that way the glue can hold everything together. Okay, so the next step is that we have to wrap the front of these of this shelf so that we're not seeing that particle board. So we're seeing actually a finished maple product edge in the front. So I have these little pieces that I'm just going to cut down to 3/4 inch. You can see I'm doing this very carefully. I could normally put a guard on there. I don't have I don't like this guard that goes on the saw, so I'm just gonna be extra cautious as I'm cutting down. Remember that when you're normally, I would say, if you don't have experience with a table saw or miter saw, well, miter saws generally come with a guard, and they make it so it's usable. But a table saws, the guards are usually very annoying to get away, and I would normally say use the guard. Just find a way to work with it. Um, but in this case, because I have a lot of experience, experience doesn't prevent injury. But in this case, I'm very comfortable here, so I'm able to make sure that we're not um, cutting myself as I'm doing this. So I'm gonna mark them off to the edges. I'm just gonna use a pencil. Not Sometimes you can make a little mistake when you use tape measure to mark it off. So I'll just put the piece to the product to the shelf and measure it, uh, just the exact length, because sometimes things can vary. Okay, so right here you kind of see this is my boot rack. So I'm just gonna sand this thing down, and it kind of so that way we can actually get a proper sanding on it done. I'm gonna pretty much cover the whole thing, sand everything down. We have a lot of these little pinholes here from the nails. We're just gonna take putty and fill those up. Later on when we stain them, you'll still see them, obviously. You won't be able to actually fully get rid of them. But we do want to keep it rustic, so pinholes are not a bad look. I mean, I would like to have them gone, but obviously there are certain putties that you can fill in or that will disappear after staining it, but we won't be doing that. We're just gonna make it because it is a boot rack. We got, like, you know, flat shoes, regular shoes, and boots. So this will allow me to put everything in here that I want, and this will be just fine the way it is. We're just gonna sand it, make it look nice. Doesn't have to be perfect because it is rustic. It's the whole theme of our household is rustic. I've got a lot of different furniture I build and definitely kept with the rustic things. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a good sanding, and then we'll stain it, and then it's done. Then maybe I might put some clear coat on there just on top here, just so that it doesn't fade away or. Okay, next we're gonna do putty fill. We're gonna take my putty, and we're just going to fill in any kind of gaps or holes. Pretty much I'll just go over the whole thing, any kind of these nail little holes. Just gonna fill them with putty, and that'll pretty much cover up anything that will be reflective, any kind of nails that will stick out. Just cover that all up. It should be good to go. After this, then we do kind of like once more over with sanding, just to clean up any extra putty that might be sticking out, like a sore thumb. That will help us a lot, getting this all nicely filled. Okay, so this is kind of what I've been doing. So any kind of nail hole or anything, I just fill in with putty. And putty, you just sand it right away. Get it down to where it's flat and almost invisible. Once this is dry, then I'll sand it over, and it's ready for stain. So simple. Okay, so went over, did the once over, sanded the whole thing. No, I should show you the process, but you kind of understand. All you have to do is just sand it over. So now the one thing is if you guys want to build your own, a lot of this stuff is just material I got from work, stuff that gets thrown out. If I don't take it, it goes straight in the trash. So this thing is pretty much just built out of scrap, and I will literally just yeah, put it together and kind of focus on how I want to build it, and this is it. Next is the staining process. Okay, so now we're gonna stain. So you gotta make sure when you are staining, you're using rubber gloves. I got myself a pair of these rubber gloves. Normally used for oil changes, but they last a long time. and I don't want to get stain all over myself. So we're gonna do it this way. Shake it up nicely. And let's begin. So, I've tried different types of doing stains. So I would highly recommend using a rag over a brush or anything. I've used a brush, it's a bad idea. It doesn't give you a good result. You see a lot of streaks. This way you can kind of work it on and see how it looks. Okay, so we got that all stained on. Now we gotta let this thing dry. But this is my new boot rack that I built for my wife. My wife's been asking and decided I would just go ahead and build one. And this is all out of scrap. You can do this too. You just gotta think a little bit outside the box and you'll be able to do it. All right. Have yourself a good one, guys.
I'll try.